Right, Fight Lens are back up in Nottinghamshire with the man, Carl Froch. Carl, Happy New Year. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, yeah.
I think you were out in Marbella, were you? Nice and warm.
After we always have Christmas at home. Obviously Santa Claus comes for the kiddies.
Yeah.
So we have a good Christmas and then Boxing Day maybe. I think we had another couple of days, but we went out there day before, or 2 days before New Year's Eve. And didn't do much, to be honest. Stayed in Marbella, had a couple of friends over who's also got a place out there. So we just had a bit of a family and friends gathering. As long as the kids are happy and the wife's happy, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And they was all happy. The weather in Spain actually, it was like 19, 20 degrees, no clouds, so the sun was out. Just couldn't believe how nice it was. It's obviously not sitting down sunbathing weather, but it's sitting outside with your short t-shirt on.
Yeah, a lot nicer than here.
Exactly. So
minus 2 degrees.
It's just so much, because the climate's so much better, you can do so much more outside with the kids. So it makes the 2 weeks off school that much more bearable. So yeah, I go there as much as I can.
Good stuff. Did you manage to catch any of the Riyadh's, was it Day of Reckoning out there?
Yes, I saw that, yeah. I watched it all.
Decent stoppage win for Anthony Joshua.
It was actually on before I went out there, wasn't it?
Oh, was it?
So,
23rd.
It was, it was a decent win. It was a good fight, really, to say that we was unsure where Anthony Joshua was mentally, and rightly so as well. There's been a lot of constructive criticism around where Anthony Joshua is with his mindset, because he's obviously got all the physical capabilities. He's an absolute machine, he's a beast, he's a proper athlete. But if the mind's not right, the body's not going to do what your mind's telling it, if your mind's a bit nervous and a bit tentative. So he looks to have come out of his shell a little bit, and it was a decent enough performance. Against, I've got to say, I mean, I thought Otto Wallin was terrible. I just thought he was bad, but maybe he's not that bad. Maybe AJ was just performed that well and shut him out behind that jab and put combinations together on his front foot and did the job. But I don't know if it was flattering for AJ or if it just looked bad for Tyson Fury, because he struggled against Otto Wallin.
Yes.
And then you start getting all these question marks. How good is Tyson Fury? What's he ever done? Who's he beat?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? He obviously beat Klitschko in a bit of a stinker, wasn't it? It was just an awkward, horrible performance where he just got inside Klitschko's head, messed him up with that jab, the movement, sort of toyed with him. It was a horrible fight. I was there ringside that night in Dusseldorf when he was backing up Klitschko, backing him up with combinations, fakes, and Klitschko was like a deer in the headlights, almost didn't want to throw a punch because Fury was countering him and then holding on to him and tying him up. It was such a messy, horrible performance, but Fury did really well, became world champion, beat Klitschko, and no one had ever come that much to a one-sided performance beating of Klitschko. I know he'd been knocked out a couple of times.
That was domination, wasn't it? Really,
it was a dominating performance. He became world champion. Obviously, he went on the Raz, didn't he, for 2-3 years after that.
Ballooned.
There was a good performance by Fury, and then
But then moving forward, Fury didn't look good against Ngannou, and now Ngannou facing Anthony Joshua.
Well, after the Klitschko fight, Fury had them 3 fights with his big standout fights with Deontay Wilder. How good's Deontay Wilder? He looks awful against Joseph Parker. So now you start questioning: is Tyson Fury actually what we thought he was, or has he been flattered by the lack of opposition?
Right.
So we don't know, do we?
We're going to find out soon, though.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, we've got Fury against
Usyk
very soon. Is that the 23rd or the 17th of February?
Yes. You've been sceptical as to whether that fight will actually go ahead.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Looking at it now, if he's trained over Christmas and he's not been doing anything he shouldn't have been doing, then maybe 6 weeks at his weight division, if he keeps himself, maybe he has got enough time. I'm still not so sure.
I've been reading that the camp is going well, apparently, but you're always going to read that.
But there's nothing, is there? Where's John Fury? Where's Tyson's? This Instagram stuff? Where's the stuff on social media? Where's the
maybe they decide to shut it down and just focus on getting his mind right.
He needs to, doesn't he? Maybe the Ngannou fight, the shock against Ngannou done him well. Maybe because he did struggle.
Maybe he didn't take it seriously enough, but now Anthony Joshua can benefit. He can study what Ngannou did against Fury, and he can come out and put on a good display, you'd hope, anyway.
Potentially a tricky fight for AJ, but one would expect AJ to do the business. For the sake of boxing.
Yeah, we can hope. What about Zhilei Zhang? Apparently he wants to fight AJ, but Eddie Hearn's not letting AJ get in the ring with someone who's showed he's too dangerous against Joe Joyce, and no one wants to get in the ring with him now.
He's a big puncher, Zhang. He's old though, he's getting on for 40, isn't he?
Yeah.
So you would think that would be, what it is, it's risk reward. It's not a massive fight for AJ, the Zhang fight. And it's risky for him. Obviously, boxing fans and people involved in boxing want to see him fight Hrgovic or Zhang, or even like Daniel Dubois. I was going to say Wilder, but Obviously, Deontay Wilder, for me, looks finished. But someone like Daniel Dubois, Jared Anderson, someone a young up-and-coming from America, there's some good fighters out there that are proper professional boxers that AJ could say, right, I'm going to fight him. He's top 10, he's top 7. Let's stay within the boxing, heavyweight boxing division, these ranked opponents, but instead, he's going for the money fight with Ngannou. And I can totally see why, but I don't think it's going to backfire. I hope it doesn't. Like, sincerely want Anthony Joshua to do the business, not just for him, because he's done well anyway at the sport. He's made a fortune. I like Anthony Joshua, contrary to what people think and the way I'm critical. Constructively honest criticism.
That's what I was going to say. Some people do think you're anti-AJ, but...
Not at all, mate. Listen, me and AJ are all right with each other. I see AJ, and he said, how you doing, Froch? You all right? Trouble? He calls me trouble, because he's like... And I'm like, listen, you know what I'm about, because I know. There's no hard feelings. Me and Anthony Joshua are absolutely fine. Even him not being trained by Rob McCracken. That was a mutual decision between Rob McCracken and Anthony Joshua. And people will say, oh, because Rob McCracken doesn't train Anthony Joshua anymore, Froch has got some sort of vendetta against AJ.
Right.
I don't care less who trains him.
Yeah.
Ben Davison trains him. I like Ben Davison at the minute. Rob McCracken and Anthony Joshua, they grew apart. They couldn't work together anymore. So it wasn't like, you're not working with me anymore, I'm sacking you. And it was out of order. It was a mutual agreement. Rob McCracken's happy, AJ's happy. Yeah. And if it's better for AJ's career and he's not seeing eye to eye with Rob McCracken for whatever reason, I don't want to go into it, then he needed to change his trainer to get the best out of his camp and the best out of his performance in the ring. Yeah. And he looks like he's doing okay. In his last fight, he was all right. The one before that, I still thought he was was it Helenius?
Yeah, a bit tentative.
Didn't do much for a long time, and then Helenius got tired and faded, and AJ went in for the big finish, the overhand right. But he's fighting Ngannou.
Do you think if that goes wrong...
It's an interesting fight.
That's the end for AJ? Like you said, it's the end for Deontay Wilder now after that loss to Joseph Parker.
I think because Deontay Wilder's nearly 40, 38, 39 years old, whatever he is. He's in his 39th year.
It's hard to come back from that, isn't it?
And the way he's talking, I just think that was a career-ending fight or performance. Like, where do you want to go now? What do you want to do? There's not much for you. But for Anthony Joshua, what was he, 33 years old?
34, yeah.
Depending on how the fight goes with Ngannou, and if he was to lose, there's always options for him. You can always... The loss isn't always the end of the road. So I'm not going to say if he loses to Ngannou, he should retire. But if he does lose to Ngannou in a bad fight and gets knocked out, he'll probably want to retire. Because he made that much money, he's in such a good position financially. Why go on boxing getting your head punched in when you don't need to? That's why I retired. I retired at 36 years old because I thought I've made enough money. I've got 3 kids at home and I'm healthy.
Yeah, your legacy's set.
My legacy's set. I can string a sentence together still. I'm in a good position physically and mentally. And I'm in a position in my life with my children that now I want to... I'm in the next phase. Yeah. And my next phase for me is my building firm and my projects, also my children. So
that's the plan for 2024.
Well, that's it. Listen, we've only got so many years left. We've only got so many years on this planet. Nobody gets out alive, do they? No, and you don't want to look back when you're in your 70s and 80s and say, I didn't see my kids grow up. Yeah. I didn't watch my kids finish the school, and I wasn't with them I'm with my kids every morning. I take them to school.
They're at that crucial age, aren't they?
Yeah, I pick them up every night. Well, 13, whatever age they are, it's always crucial from when they're born right up until when they're 18 and they want to go and do their own thing, university, sport, or whatever they want to do, get a job. You're still there for them. Yeah, still your kids, and I'm so close with my kids. Yeah. I mean, I sit around the dinner table every night, no devices, no iPads, no phones. We sit, we have a conversation. How was your day at school, Natalia? How did yours go, Penelope? What's the best thing you enjoyed about today, Rocco? What are you doing? How are you getting on with your maths? Because you're struggling at maths at the minute. Okay. Right, let's do a bit more maths. I'm just interactive. I'm a hands-on father, and Rachel is as well. But I spend so much time with my kids, and I love it. It's fantastic. I don't see the point in having kids if you're not going to be there. But not everyone's the same. Not everybody wants to be with the kids all the time. Some people give them to nannies. Some people have got transatlantic bloody jobs where they can't
Send them to boarding school.
Send them to boarding school, yeah. I thought about doing that with Rocco a couple of times. There's one not far. I said to him, you're going to go to that school. You're going to stay there and you might come home at the weekends. Right. But no, that's just me as a father. Course, and maybe I didn't get that from my dad, which I didn't really have I was really close with my mum, but mum and dad split up when I was 6. And I can remember it quite vividly, and it wasn't a nice time, so maybe that's the reason. But I've had my kids, I'm responsible for them, I love them so much, so they're everything to me. So I retired at 36 while I still had my health, and I was still in a position where I thought, you know what, I could have 1 or 2 more fights, but actually, what am I fighting for? I'm not a greedy person. Let's finish on the crest of the wave. And you know what the crest of that wave was at Wembley Stadium. And you know how many were there.
Well. I know, it was 80,000 were there. They saw it in the flesh. But yeah, speaking of kids and youngsters growing up and and looking towards sport as their career. We saw Luke Littler at Ali Pali get all the way to the final.
Amazing. Listen,
Incredible.
I'm a massive, I don't know if you know, but I'm a massive darts fan. I watched every single leg of every match.
Yeah,
and the ones that I couldn't watch, there was taped on Sky, on the Sky Q. I was going back to it and watching it. So I'm like, Rach, leave me alone. I'm sitting in a different room.
Well, probably the best tournament, best world
It was
championship
amazing.
ever been.
It wasn't just Luke Littler, who was fantastic.
Rob Cross in the quarterfinals, that match come back from 4-0 down.
Unbelievable. There was a couple of really good matches where I thought,
many good
what was
matches.
that match? I phoned my brother up and I went, you've just missed an absolute, who was it?
Was it Luke Humphreys against the Pikachu guy?
I think it might have been, Humphreys had a couple of good ones.
Where he pulled it back,
yeah. There's so many though. You've got what's his name? The old German guy. Been around
Dutch guy, Barneveld.
Van Barneveld,
coming back, 56 years old, still doing the business. Yeah, great tournament.
Really got done. MVG went out when we didn't expect him to go out.
Shocking performance.
That was a bad performance.
Did you get down to any of it down at Ali Pali?
No. Whenever it's in Nottingham, I go. If I'm down in London, but Ali Pali from Nottingham's a night.
Well, this is it, because now Luke Littler's been selected for the Premier League. 16 years old, he's going to be touring week in, week out. Amazing. If, say, Rocco suddenly decided to be a darts player and he got selected, would you be happy for him to go off 16 years old touring around the country? It's quite a big thing.
I didn't think you could finish school at 16 these days.
I think he has.
I thought you had to either stay on or do A-levels unless you was, I don't know, going into the service
trades,
or getting an apprentice. But I suppose professional darts is a trade. It's a legitimate sport. Contrary to what some people say, it's not a sport. It is a sport.
Definitely.
But you don't have to be in the best shape, do you? But it's still a sport because the arrows.
Well, you're up there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, so it takes some stamina.
It takes some endurance, you're right.
Definitely.
But Luke Littler is amazing. I can't
No
believe he's come from nowhere. But when you look at his backstory, he's actually been playing darts for years. And he's won a couple of the lower tournaments and the amateur stuff. And I forgot what the titles are called. Where you work up
school and you go all the way up. What I say, qualify, isn't it? But amazing. But other sports, before we get back to boxing, about ice hockey, I see that you're probably a fan of.
I was down there last week when Nottingham Panthers played the Sheffield Steelers. Good match. We got whooped.
Oh yeah.
There
was some controversy, wasn't there, at the end of last year? Sadly,
that kid died.
Adam Johnson.
What a tragic that was.
Absolute tragedy. And now they've changed now they have to wear neck guards, don't they? Which perhaps is a bit too little, too late, obviously for him, sadly. But I think the player who injured him was arrested, hasn't been charged. Do you think there's anything? Should he be charged? I mean,
you know what? I've seen footage of him doing a double-footed drop kick, like Cantona when he challenged the crowd and went to. But then I've seen some more footage where they're on the floor and he's spun round and his legs come round.
His legs come up, hasn't it?
And it looks accidental. So I can't comment on whether or not I thought he did it on purpose or not. And it's just such. I mean, regardless of whether he did, it's not gonna bring the kid back.
No, of course.
But if he's done that intentionally and he's gone in there with that like mindset of I'm gonna kick him in the neck, that is just wrong.
I can't
and
imagine.
It needs to be penalised. But like I said, I've not seen the proper footage. I don't know the proper rules. Are you supposed to jump with your feet in the air? Are they supposed to go high?
No, not really. No,
it's like
it's very
you
rare.
Wouldn't think so, would you?
To see someone's foot come off the ice.
It's one of them freakish bloody accidents in it, by the looks of it.
I think so.
Nobody deserves to get bloody sent down for the rest of their life or for 20 years for an accident. But it's like with Steve Irwin when he got stung by that stingray. I mean, stingrays are quite tame and placid, and he got not only did he get stung, he got stung directly in the heart, which is very rare. And sometimes these freak accidents happen, and unfortunately that happened, and it was a Nottingham player, and very, very sad.
Yeah, and it's traumatic for anyone that was there that day, I suppose. But hopefully now it never happens again. But let's get back to boxing anyway. There is some controversy over in the States with USA Boxing introducing their new transgender policy. And the new US boxing policy has clauses for bringing a trans woman's hormone levels down, but no mention of bone density, muscle mass, or lung capacity advantages. So it seems like they're kind of missing some of the most important points there. They're saying, your hormone levels have been high enough or low enough, depending on which way you're going, for 5 years, but there's other advantages that the human body has if you're a male over a female that can't be changed.
Absolutely. I totally disagree with a trans woman fighting I was going to say a real woman, but it is a real woman, but a biological woman who's born with the XX chromosome and a uterus and a womb and female genitalia, for a man who's now calling himself a trans woman to be fighting a biological woman. For me, it's wrong. It should never happen, and it shouldn't be happening. And the people who are organising it and are saying it's okay and it's acceptable, they need to be seriously looked at and brought in front of a board and say, listen, are we really going to go down this road? And I think it needs to stop. I think it's disgusting. That's my opinion on it. I've got 2 daughters and I've got a boy. And I've got a lot of friends who are female friends that box. And you wouldn't want to see a biological male in with any of them girls. It's not fair. Was it William Thomas, who now calls himself Leah Thomas, who was ranked 400 and something as a swimmer?
Yeah.
And now he's won
women,
first place in the women's swimming.
Yeah.
You're taken away from women. What happened to women's rights? You know what I mean? Like, it's not fair.
Trans rights now. Yeah,
it's not fair.
Yeah. I mean, Errol Spence tweeted, if you were born with a dick, fight someone with one too. I mean, what needs to happen? More petitions, more fighters speaking out? Like, do you think if Trump gets elected, he'll repeal that?
Trump definitely will, because Trump's anti all that. Trump's not big on the woke agenda, which can be very dangerous and very unfair. I can understand people of any race, creed, sexuality, gender getting given a fair shot. Everybody as a human being is entitled to be fairly treated and treated equally. But it's taking the piss when you want to get a man in with a woman in a contact sport, and many other things like job roles. If a woman is good enough to do a job role and is good enough and qualified enough, let the woman do the job.
Of course.
If she's not, then she don't get the job. Don't just give her the job because she's a woman.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, that does transition us nicely into the furore that's been on Twitter these last couple of weeks with Joey Barton saying that certain football pundits, female football pundits, are only getting their role, just to fill quotas, and they haven't actually got the required, knowledge of the men's game, or they haven't played the game at a high enough level to be speaking on it.
Well, it's happening, isn't it? They're giving women jobs that they can't really do as effectively as a man. And as a sports pundit, you can kind of get away with it. The women can make themselves look stupid. I can't remember the girl's name who couldn't do her maths.
Elia Luco, yes.
Elia Luco, and there's another woman who spoke the other day. I'm not massively into football. I don't follow it much. I don't watch loads of it. I know who Joe Barton is, and I obviously know a few teams. Nottingham Forest, I'm big on them, and we're in the Premier League now. We stayed up there.
Exactly,
But some of the positions that these women get, you do have to say they've got the roles purely because they're ticking that box and their gender fits the role, and they're not good enough to do the job. So they've taken the job off somebody who's more capable of doing the job better than them, and that's what Joe Barton's saying. Joe Barton's pointing out the fact that everybody knows that if you're on that side of liberalism and you're sort of, I don't know, is it left wing, woke, liberal, snowflake, whatever you want to call it. Gary Lineker, Ricky Gervais said a good guy, Gary Lineker, didn't he? Got to love Ricky Gervais.
That's true.
Tells it how it is.
Yeah.
But whichever side you're on, you have to use common sense, which doesn't seem to be very common anymore. We need to start calling it rare sense, because it's very rare now for somebody to use common sense in certain positions. And Joey Barton's having a rant. He probably shouldn't do it on social media. He looks a little bit to me like he's lost the plot a little bit. But there's a lot of like valid points that he's making. There's a lot of things he's saying that you go, hang on a minute, he's dead right here.
He's put his head above the parapet, hasn't he? A lot of people are afraid to do that these days. But now the fact that he's come out and said that, the UK sports minister has promised to intervene with social media platforms off the back of Joey Barton's comments. So now we're looking at potential censorship on social media, on Twitter, which is supposed to be a free speech platform. But
since Elon Musk got Twitter, it is a free speech platform. Unlike Instagram's not so much. It's very moderated. Facebook, be careful what you put on Facebook, because you will get shadow banned. We know this, and you post and your messages on your Facebook account only go out to 5% of your followers anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
They want you to monetize it and pay revenue so you get more reach. But unfortunately, we're under attack. Free speech is under attack. Freedom of movement, everything at the minute is questionable, and we're not allowed to speak freely. We're not allowed to give our opinion.
On Fight Lens, you are.
You can't give. What's that?
On Fight Lens, you are.
On Fight Lens, we can. Yeah, exactly. Well, this is an independent broadcaster, if you like.
Exactly.
And this is why I went into my own YouTube channel, Froch on Fighting, the best boxing YouTube channel in the business. Obviously, we've got Fight Lens.
We collaborate.
We do collaborate. But that's why I do Froch on Fighting, because I will want to say things on certain platforms. I'm not going to dig out any certain platforms, but I've worked for Sky Sports, I've worked for DAZN, I've worked for BT Sport and TNT, which is now TNT, and for me, I mean, TNT are brilliant. I love them. I love the way they are, and the production behind it for me, you are able to kind of speak more freely on that platform. But I've worked for all of them, and I much prefer doing what I'm doing now, giving my own honest opinion. And if you don't like it, don't listen to it. If you do like it, subscribe.
That's the way forward, isn't it?
But unfortunately, on like mainstream outlets, whether it's mainstream news or whichever broadcast, whichever channel, whichever sports channel it is, you are censored and you are gagged. And if you're not careful and you don't do what you're told, you will get cut off.
Yeah.
You will get cancelled.
That's the risk.
And they won't give you that as a genuine, honest reason. Right, we're not going to use you now because you said something that goes against our agenda. That's the reason you're not working on this channel anymore.
Right.
They'll just won't give you the work.
That's it. Russell Brand is now he's kind of given up on YouTube, hasn't he? Or was he blocked on YouTube? Now he's on the other.
Russell Brand's still on YouTube,
okay,
but that's another censored platform.
Yeah.
Certain things need to be censored, but as adults, when you're above 18 years old, you're an adult. You get to make your own. You should get to make your own decision on what you listen to and what you watch. You can watch a horror movie. You can watch a movie where people are smuggling drugs and murdering people with guns and stabbing people. Them movies are big. Some of the movies are fantastic. I watched The Running Man the other day with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Old classic.
Yeah, the 80s.
I've got Rocco watching, like, he's watched all the Rambos, he's watched all the Rockies, obviously.
Yeah.
And now we're going through the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, which is The Running Man, Commando, all the classics, even Kindergarten Cop and stuff like that.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, you're going back to AWOL now, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a great one.
Kickboxer, just brilliant. Proper classic films. You know what? I've got to do the Van Damme stuff.
Universal Soldier.
Yeah, I've done most of that. That was Stallone. That was Universal Soldier.
I thought it was okay, there you go.
I'm sure it was. And Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes.
Passenger 33. Whatever. Anyway.
But no, Universal Soldier was Stallone and Snipes. I'm sure it was. Sure. Like the futuristic one.
Yeah, Universal Soldier. Yeah. Sure.
Where if you say something wrong in the street, you get a ticket. Citation for
that's Demolition Man.
Demolition Man. No, that's Stallone.
Yeah,
Universal Soldier. Yeah. We'll get there in the end. But no, actually, that's Demolition Man. Yeah, that's film. Where we're going. That's where we're headed if we're not careful.
That's right.
Watch what you say. You're going to get a citation out the lamppost. You just swore. You what?
That's how it is in China.
What do you mean? I just voted Trump. Now I'm going straight to jail. I don't think you can vote for Trump now, can you? In certain states.
That sounds
They're banning him from certain states.
Anyway, we digress.
Shutting him down.
Let's get back to boxing.
Yeah,
there's a match this weekend, Callum Smith against Artur Beterbiev.
Yeah. I would pronounce him because people say Beterbiev. Beterbiev. I say Beterbiev because I've asked a few people around in the industry and apparently we pronounce it Beterbiev. Okay,
there you go. Now I've been corrected.
Yeah.
And how do you see that going? I don't know where the fight is even.
It's getting old. It's in the States. It's on the
should know that.
It's on the West Coast.
Okay, so it'll be late here.
Early hours.
5 a.m. job.
I think it is. It's 3 a.m. Might be later.
Okay.
Don't quote me on the West Coast, but I thought it was Vegas or towards that side of LA.
Yeah.
But anyway, tough fight for Callum Smith, but he's tall and rangy, very good boxer. But I don't know, his performance against Canelo Alvarez was poor and limited and undermotivated and almost, I just accept defeat and don't really try. You'll have to be better against Beterbiev. Who's a monster in the ring.
Yeah.
He's just such a big puncher. But he's got a chance because
step it up.
He might just get old overnight. He's nearly 40 years old.
Is he? Yeah.
Yeah, Beterbiev's getting old. He's got to be 38, 39 years old. He could just get old overnight.
Right.
But on paper and on previous performances, you would expect. I mean, his performance against Anthony Yard, Beterbiev, was a demolition job.
Yeah.
And I just think that Yard gives Callum Smith a good fight. And the way Callum got outclassed by Canelo Alvarez, it's a really tough ask for him.
Yeah.
But he's younger and fresher. And if he thinks, you know what, I'm disgusted with my performance against Alvarez, I'm going to turn up and I'm going to get sharp behind that jab, put combinations together when he comes. As long as he don't get clipped, he could win this on points. I don't think he stops Beterbiev. He's too tough and rugged and strong and experienced.
Hopefully.
I reckon if Callum Smith's going to win this fight, it'll be on the distance on points. But I've got a feeling Beterbiev will get to him and catch him and hurt him, body or head. Right. But it's a great fight.
Yeah, it's good to see a good fight in January because there's not much else until February. So hopefully it'll be a good one.
It's this Saturday actually.
Yeah, it's this Saturday. That's right. Elsewhere, Jarrell Miller trying to carjack his own car back. I think it got repossessed. He went to the dealership, got in a bit of a scrap with the dealer. What's going on in his head? Is he just losing the plot a bit after losing to Daniel Dubois? He's always been a bit of a hothead anyway, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's been out to Saudi, hasn't he? He's made a few quid. Back after failing the drug test for the big fight build up with the Anthony Joshua fight. Yeah. I like Jerome Miller in terms of I like his character. I think he's funny. He's good to listen to. He speaks so well. I think he's good for boxing, good for heavyweight boxing.
Charismatic guy.
Yeah, but he got beat up, didn't he, by Dubois. Dubois showed that he was a really good fighter there. Showed a lot of maturity, and he was combination punches, keeping him at distance, letting himself get backed up, but controlling the pace and not exhausting himself, which I think Miller was waiting to happen. So Miller's a decent fighter. What's he doing getting involved in a car altercation with a car dealer? I don't know. Maybe he's just... The money he's earned's gone to his head. He's been involved in this situation. He's not getting the respect he feels he deserves. And he's just had a moment of madness. I don't know the full backstory on what's gone off. But I have read that he's been involved in was there a gun involved? I don't think there was a weapon involved, was there?
No, fortunately for him, no, I don't think so.
Did he end up giving someone a smack?
Yeah. I think he kind of choke-slammed him or something like WWF. It's something like something out of GTA, isn't it? A bit of a mad one. But,
go on, Jerome Miller. Yeah, he's lost the plot. You can't be doing that, especially not in America.
Definitely not.
So hopefully he's understood the error of his ways, and he'll get a slap on the wrist and maybe a fine, and get away with it, because he's still if you can lose a bit of weight, he's still a bit of a frightening, a good force in the heavyweight boxing. He's a good measuring stick for fighters coming through now.
Exactly, yeah. We need those, because.
But the big fights, I think he's out of there. Daniel Dubois showed him that he don't belong at that level, because Daniel Dubois is still young and still growing into the heavyweight division.
What do you see next for him? A rematch with Joe Joyce, because that first match was during COVID times, wasn't it? And it wasn't. Yeah. I think most people had Joe Joyce down as the underdog for that, but he came through, won it. So maybe that would be an interesting one.
Potentially, potentially a Joe Joyce fight, just to correct that one.
Yeah.
I don't know what Joe Joyce. I mean, Joe Joyce still wants to fight
at top level.
Yeah, even after his losses.
Yeah, because Frank Warren was kind of questioning whether he would walk away after that second defeat to Zhang, but
exactly.
He is quite old, but he's still got a lot in the tank because he turned pro quite late.
He did, yeah. But the biggest thing Joe Joyce had going for him was the punch resistance, which seems to have it's diminished now.
That's true.
And if he can't hold a shot with that style, he's going to struggle. We'll find out, won't we? If he has another fight, depending on what level, we'll know if he's got anything left. But he's another one getting on for 40 years old. Yeah, he's at that time of life now where you need to be down in tools in a fight sport.
Well, a quick word about Ryan Garcia, causing controversy for filing for divorce on the same day that his wife gave birth to his son.
Really?
Yeah, that happened yesterday or 2 days ago. I mean, I don't know what the logic behind that is really. Because if you're married and you're having a son, I mean, so maybe.
So he's filed for divorce as she's had the baby?
On the same day, apparently, yeah.
That's a strange one. You obviously don't want to be with her anymore.
No, but I guess it's waited till she's had the baby and then broken the news that way. It seems a bit harsh, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I don't understand what's going off there. I don't know what the story is with Ryan Garcia. But,
he seems to, because he was calling out Oscar De La Hoya, wasn't he? Who was basically at the press conference for his last fight. It was basically, I think he was just a bit disgruntled that he had a Mexican supporting his fellow Mexican.
Who was he supposed to be fighting next? Because he also lost to Gervonta Davis.
Yeah.
And then since then, I don't understand what his path back is.
Right.
I know he's involved in this controversy with his wife and he's making the headlines for the wrong reasons.
Sure. Yeah.
He's a real talent, he is, and losing to Gervonta Davis is no disgrace.
No.
But the way in which he lost, which was almost a quitting job, he got hit with a body shot and
that's right.
stood up too late and went, that'll do me. I don't know, I question his heart a little bit.
Speaking of Gervonta Davis, someone who's been mooted as an opponent for him, arguably the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, the Japanese, the monster. Inoue, yes. I mean, I know they are different weights, but there's not a huge difference in weight. Do you think they could ever meet at a catch weight?
That'd be exciting, wouldn't it? I'd like to see him meet at catch weight. I did read something last week that potentially that's the fight that people want to see.
Yeah.
Whether Gervonta Davis would want that, I'm not so sure, but that'd be such a tasty fight, wouldn't it? When you've got someone like Gervonta Davis who looks like he's... then you've got someone who looks like they're invincible. I know nobody's invincible. But he looked like someone who, how do you beat him? And thought Ryan Garcia was going to give him a good fight, but he just hammered him. It's a bit like Terence Crawford. You just feel like he's got that air of invincibility about him, hasn't he?
Definitely.
Another one who's getting old now, getting on a bit. Some of them towards the end of the career, but I think Inoue against Gervonta Davis is a dangerous fight for Gervonta Davis.
Yeah.
But having said that, why would you doubt Davis in any fight? Great fight that is.
Both got pedigree.
Who's naturally heavier?
Javonte Davis.
Javonte Davis naturally bigger, so he should be. But yeah, because the new head's come up. I mean, what is he? 4 weight division world champion.
Yes,
He's come up 4 weight divisions.
Unified at 2, so
So Javonte Davis is naturally bigger. He might fancy it.
Yeah.
The new head's definitely growing into them weights and taking over each weight.
That's
but
it.
Great fight.
Great fight potentially. What else we got coming up? Jermaine Ortiz against Teofimo Lopez, February the 8th.
Yeah, Teofimo Lopez, great fighter. I watched the night when he beat Josh Taylor. He wasn't even that close. And Josh Taylor's a good fighter, good fighter. I do want to see him against Catterall in a rematch.
No.
But Lopez, I thought, was retiring after that. But I think he said it because I don't think he was getting the love in terms of the payment. He wasn't getting enough money. He wasn't getting paid what he wanted to get, or what he thought he was worth. But yeah, it'd be good to see him back. I think he's got a couple of big fights still left in him. And that's definitely an exciting one.
Should we move away from boxing quickly? Just another couple of topics.
Can do, yeah.
2023 has been confirmed as the warmest year on record, apparently by the Met Office and by the people who keep these numbers. But since when is the question? And
that's
for
what
what
reason?
reason?
So the warmest year on record, 2023.
Well, El Nino happened last year, so that apparently did boost temperatures up. But then obviously we're burning fossil fuels at record rates over in certain countries.
I don't know about you, but I was born in 1977, and I can remember the mid to late 80s, and even early 90s, red hot, long 6-7 weeks school holidays.
Heat waves.
It was like just a desert outside my house in Colic, and it was all like desert land going down towards the river, and it was ridiculous.
We kept a bath full of cold water, coming from school, jumping.
And we was always having droughts as well. However, the infrastructure wasn't in place for the reservoirs or what,
bans.
but it was always hose pipe bans and droughts. So I'm sure it was a lot hotter, my childhood, than what it is for my kids' childhood. But they reckon that climate change hasn't got anything to do with whether it's hot or cold. It's to do with, what's it to do with climate change? It's to do with taxation and control, in my opinion. To tell you the climate's under crisis because of a rise in CO2. Not to get too technical, but carbon dioxide makes up 0.03% of the atmosphere, of which nearly 90% is nitrogen, 17-18% oxygen, and then you've got argon and other bits of crap in there. But CO2, carbon dioxide, which is the big concern, 0.03% of 1%.
So very minuscule numbers.
300ths of a percent, of which human beings are responsible for about 10 or 11% of.
Well, let's not forget that volcanoes actually emit carbon dioxide.
We used to have an ice age, didn't we? The whole of North America was under ice and it's thawed out and defrosted. So when they say it's the hottest summer ever, from when are you counting? Because you're not going back longer than 2,000 years, are you?
No chance.
You're going back 500 years. So let's go 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Let's go 1,000,000 years back. How was the climate?
Yeah.
What's changed? Yeah. I mean, come on. I think my honest opinion is that the climate crisis isn't a crisis. Greta Thunberg, somebody get rid of her, in the nicest possible way. I just think it's all to do with division, control, and then taxation.
Right.
They're going to tax us based on our carbon footprint.
Yeah, that's
that's what the establishment and the government do. And I might come under fire for saying that, but that's my opinion. Why are we worried about 0.03, 100th of 1%, 3 100ths of a percent of carbon dioxide in the air? Why are we worried about it? Why are we concerned? The government are making a big song and dance about something so they can tax us and give us all different measures under the guise of climate control. I think it's a big hoax. But I'm entitled to my opinion. And on this free speech platform,
of course,
I'm not going to get cancelled, or am I?
No chance.
I might get a letter from
Carl Froch is here to stay.
I might get a letter from Greta Thunberg.
Yeah, well, you might.
Is that the right name?
Greta Thunberg.
She the one?
Yeah, that's her. Exactly. Yeah, she got arrested the other day, didn't she?
Is she?
Yeah, but she got let out the same day, so it don't really matter for much. All right. What about one other thing that's causing a storm in the mainstream media, which is quite surprising? It's to do with Jeffrey Epstein and Epstein's Island and the amount of people.
I thought he was going to say Andrew Tate's got all his assets back. He's been to court and he's been given all his cars and his house and his property. Yeah, Andrew
that
Tate.
Took a while because
the reason I mentioned Andrew Tate because he's obviously a big fan of Greta Thunberg, and he was eating the pizza boxes one day, saying I'm not going to recycle these boxes.
That's it.
And then he got arrested.
Yeah.
But no, he's just won a high court battle to seized his assets.
Yep.
Illegally
in Romania.
So in Romania, and now he's getting his assets back. Which is a win for the Andrew Tate followers.
Yeah.
And I'm neutral. I'm on the fence. as you all know. But what was your question?
About the old Epstein Island and the people on this list, you know, like Bill Clinton.
It's another one.
Michael Jackson's been out there.
Yeah, it's another one into the Epstein Island flight log list that's conveniently swerved by mainstream media. Nobody's talking about it. Why? Why, when you've got Andrew Tate getting arrested and put in a Romanian jail cell for months with no charges, he's not had his due process, why is he banged up? Yet nobody on that flight list had been to that monster island of Epstein's when we know what was going on that island now.
Yeah.
We know Giselle Maxwell, who's now in prison. We know what Epstein and what she was up to with these children on that island.
Yeah.
We know that Prince Andrew's been there and he's paid 12 million quid to somebody who has never met for doing something that he's never done.
To silence.
Is that taxpayers' money or was that
Allegedly, yeah.
royal family?
The Queen,
but
yeah.
Nobody has been arrested or brought in for questioning or made the news. And now this flight log's out. Is it the flight log or is it information in the background?
There's an actual legal kind of
because there's a lot now on social media, especially Twitter.
Right,
the free
the
speech
flight
platform.
log is, I don't know if it's been verified. There are people on there, I think Mikel Arteta's on there.
Yeah, because I saw something about Stephen Hawkins.
Yeah, well he
there's been a few memes.
He definitely was there.
Yeah, I mean,
but now he's dead, isn't
we
he?
know Prince Andrew was there, and we know that Bill Gates has been there. Yeah, the biggest alleged philanthropist, who's not a philanthropist, is an investor. He invests in vaccines, and he then brings the vaccines out at the correct time for Big Pharma to sell when we're in a health crisis. But it's similar to what Russell Brand said. When Big Pharma benefit from health crisis, and when the governments and the military-industrial complex benefit from war, you're going to constantly have these problems, and they're never going to get resolved because there's billions of pounds to be made.
Right. If the money's there, then people will find
and now he's under
it.
attack, Russell Brand. Apparently he did something wrong 20 years ago. We don't know because he's not been given his due process. He's not had his day in court. He's not even been arrested or charged, to my knowledge.
No, he hasn't.
But the mainstream media made a big song and dance about what he's done wrong, and then his YouTube channel gets cancelled and he's now over on Rumble.
That's right, that's the other platform.
Which is a platform where you can speak freely and not get accused of doing something that you maybe haven't done 20 years ago.
Exactly.
But it's just very, very strange times, and I feel like there's a great awakening at the minute. Whether the stars are aligning with the moon and whatever's going off, there seems to be a lot of people now talking, or whether it's just the ability to talk, because now, like we couldn't do in the 70s and 80s, we couldn't speak to each other because we didn't have the social media platforms.
And more isolated.
And now anybody that's got a big following, anybody that's got a voice, and we'll talk about Andrew Tate, we'll talk about Russell Brand, they all seem to be under attack.
Yeah.
Even Donald Trump is a massive example, a prime example of somebody who was probably the best performing president in many, many years. And the statistics prove that, if you do your research. Never went to war, Trump. 4 years, never dropped a bomb.
Right.
Barack Obama, Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Who's currently in power now? That geezer with
the old guy.
Eh?
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. He can't even hold a string of sentences. I've got nothing against Joe Biden. He's an old man. Yeah. It's like he's got such a tough job. I think it's cruel the position he's in because he can't speak.
No.
He's mentally he's not capable of holding down a proper conversation. So
why are the candidates always so old in America though? Like, at least Rishi Sunak's, at least he's relatively young and got his faculties. In America, they always seem to be in their 80s.
I'm not sure. Well, Trump's in his 70s, isn't he?
Trump's
still
in his 70s, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, Trump was what looks to be on paper one of the best performing presidents, and they couldn't wait to get rid of him. And now they're trying everything they can to stop him from running again this year, because they're panicking. And you do wonder, you have to question why. Why are people being censored on social media? Why are people being censored on independent news outlets channels? Why are television broadcasters censoring people for not fitting their agenda or narrative? It's like you've got to toe a certain line and go down a certain path. Otherwise you come under massive attack and get cancelled.
Well, we
talked about Joey Barton earlier. He's got an opinion on female pundits or commentators in football. And it's quite, I mean, I don't know if he's going the right way about it, but how else do you go about it? How else do you get heard?
This is it.
Unless you take to social media.
Yeah, but he hasn't been cancelled yet. But
Well, thankfully, we've got Elon Musk who's running Twitter at the minute, and he's allowing free speech, which is fine, but people are screwing about that, saying that's not right, you shouldn't give these people a voice.
I'm going to see how long it remains this way. There's a pressure on him, but the pressure can't affect him because he's got enough money, he doesn't care, does he?
No, but if it all stops and free speech does die and freedom of movement, then we live in communism. And surely nobody wants to be there.
No, but hopefully it doesn't go down that path and we stay free for now.
Stay free, in the great words of Russell Brand.
That's it. Right, I think that wraps it up well then. Good chat today.
Yeah.
And we'll be back again to follow up soon. But yeah, stay tuned. Fight Lens, Froch.
Absolutely. Always good to see you, mate.
Fighting you too.
Good
Thanks for
talking
that. Nice fun. All right, covered.